When I think about the art of sculpture, pottery is probably what pops into my head first. Soft clay and the rhythmic turn of the potter's wheel. Or maybe bronze or stone sculpture, an artist shaping features on a bust with a hammer and chisel. But some sculptors use bigger, louder tools. And trade the art studio for the great outdoors.
We're in Alaska. It's crazy. I don't even know. I have like 5 layers on right now. I'm still cold, so.
And forego the flower vase or the statue of David.
If I was a bronze sculptor, I would imagine I would need something a little more serious, but it's not like it's going to be there very long. I mean, it's going to melt.
For something a bit more cutting edge.
We're putting a mohawk on a baby. It's the first time you put spikes on a baby at 18 feet.
This is the wild and wonderful world of ice sculpture. And there's no better time and place for it than the dead of winter in one of the country's northernmost cities, Fairbanks, Alaska. Every year, the most talented ice sculptors from across the globe gather there for the World Ice Art Championships, also known as Ice Alaska. And some of the best in the business hail from, you guessed it, right here in Oregon. From the Gert Boyle Studio, I'm Jen Chavez, and this is The Evergreen, a podcast from OPB about the place you call home. For years, Oregon ice carver Chris Foltz has brought a team of sculptors to Fairbanks to compete for the World Championship. Oregon Field Guide producer Noah Thomas got to tag along and witness the thrills and chills of their quest to win it all. So for your story about ice sculpting, you got to go to Ice Alaska for the first time. And this competition is not like something that happens in a conference room somewhere or in a single day. It is a whole thing. Can you set the scene of what it's like there a little bit? What was it like for you to take it all in?
The first thing I noticed about Fairbanks in February is that it's very cold.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I'm from Chicago, and I escaped Chicago because I hate cold weather and I hate snow, and I was getting PTSD for real. We get to the Ice Alaska grounds, and the best way to describe it is probably like an ice-themed theme park. They create all of the attractions from ice, from scratch. So you have slides, and you have like ice jungle gyms and all sorts of creative things, and that's mostly for families and kids. But then when you go to the back, you're walking into a forest, and there's small clearings about every, 50, 100 feet. That's where the sculptors are actually building the ice sculptures. That competition takes place over the course of about a week.
One longtime competitor is Chris Foltz, and he described it this way.
You're looking through the forest and you're seeing these masters, artists from all different walks of life. It became gripping to realize that I had gotten to that point to where I could be there with these people in this arena.
Foltz has been traveling north from his home on the Oregon coast for the occasion for quite a while.
I think about 15 years now.
And he has won multiple world championship titles there. This man is definitely a pro. And he also didn't exactly set out to become an ice sculptor. How did he get into it in the first place?
He was working as a sous chef.
Yeah, I was right about 24, working in a casino.
The head chef at this particular casino would sometimes carve ice, make these, much smaller ice sculptures as like centerpieces. And I guess one night,
the director came down and said that the executive chef abruptly left and wasn't coming back.
But they didn't have a sculpture. And so,
just like out of the movies, like all 6 other sous chefs just kind of faded away, and I didn't realize it. And I just looked at my director and I was like, ice carving, that's with a chainsaw, right? I've seen that.
He just sort of seized the opportunity. And mind you, he had never done this before. He had to completely wing it.
I was sent into the freezer with a chainsaw and an idea, and came out about 4 hours later covered in snow and slightly traumatized.
Whatever he produced, they were happy with it.
The first one was just a salmon, that was it. And everybody thought it was cool. It did turn out looking like a fish, I think.
So I guess you could say he was a natural.
And that was it, man. I was the resident ice carver.
And not only is Foltz a chef / ice carver, but he does other kinds of sculpture too.
Yeah, so Chris carves a lot of wood because it's something you could do year round. But he also carves pumpkins and sand, but those are mostly seasonal. I actually produced a story on the St. Helens Sandcastle competition, and Chris's team won first place.
What is he like about working with ice specifically?
I think the reason Chris loves to carve ice is it combines what he calls additive and subtractive elements.
So either you're adding clay or you're subtracting from stone. Ice carving is both.
It's kind of like a marriage of carving components from all these different modalities.
So you have all these blocks that you need to build, so your structure is additive. And then you move to a subtractive nature where you're actually sculpting, kind of like stone, like you're just chipping away what you don't want. But then at another point, you can fuse it, so then you go back to additive in the end.
It's challenging because of the nature of ice. I mean, ice can break, it can melt, it's very heavy, but you can be extremely creative with it. And I think artists like Chris really enjoy the challenge.
Now, he works as an instructor these days at the Oregon Coast Culinary Institute in Coos Bay, and he teaches ice carving to culinary students.
So you're gonna use a chainsaw today and that's it. This works pretty easy. Pulled back, it's gonna run, okay? This is your template. You're gonna carve a star or something that looks like it.
They start small with a single block of ice.
Now, if my saw is straight, like this, I'm gonna have a nice clean connection. Okay, let's try. Okay? That is literally the most important thing I can teach you, is how to cut straight.
Many of these students are clearly brand new to the art of sawing ice.
I have never used a chainsaw.
I cut like parts of a tree off, but nothing more than that, you know.
But they get the hang of it pretty quickly.
That's really fun.
It does look really fun, no, honestly. Why is teaching ice sculpture to his culinary students important to Chris?
I think Chris has a natural ability to teach and pass down information, and he just has a way with students.
And one thing I learned about teaching is when you teach, you are like compounding education into your mind. You know, you're learning 10 times faster.
Chris wanted to incorporate ice sculpting into his curriculum because the food industry is very competitive, so any advantage that you can gain could be very beneficial.
As a chef, if you go apply for a job someday, but you happen to be the one person that can make ice carvings, you get the job.
Not only that, but after a few months of training with Chris, some of these students get to go with him to Ice Alaska and compete in the collegiate division.
Competing in pressure situations is probably one of the best ways to learn. It's a very unique and creative way to motivate his students to want to do this, but also allow them to have this really incredible experience.
What I'm looking for in a student is not really artistic ability as much as it is just plain and simple, they want to do it. I want somebody who actually just wants to do it. That's it.
Now, some folks may have seen ice art before as a centerpiece at a fancy buffet, but stuff like that is usually tabletop size. Ice Alaska is a whole different ballgame. So Noah, can you tell us like just how big is the art being made and the materials being used by guys like Chris in this competition?
Well, this ice has to be moved around with a forklift and a bulldozer. The ice blocks can weigh, I think, from 2 to 4 tons.
When you get into that arena, your blocks are ranging between 5,000 and 10,000 pounds each. They're basically, you know, if you look at a small car, that's what you're looking at.
A finished sculpture can weigh around 20 tons, and they can reach over 20 feet high. I think Chris's particular piece is about 18 feet. It's really a sight to behold.
where does the ice come from in the first place? Because it's not the kind of thing you can just go out and buy a multi-ton block of ice.
No, last I checked, you cannot go to Sam's Club or Costco and buy 2-ton blocks of ice. They actually harvest the ice from gravel pits turned ponds. And so they use a custom saw to saw out blocks from the pond. And they fish them out and transport them with a forklift and store them for tempering. And they're tempered for a few days and they become really, really hard and really clear.
That's super wild to even imagine. Well, in a minute, we'll join Foltz and his team as they compete for the multi-block world championship in Fairbanks and find out how putting a giant ice mohawk on a baby was involved. That's coming up right after this break. Thanks for listening to The Evergreen, our podcast from OPB about the place you call home. If you think this episode is cool, there's much more where that came from. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, and we'll bring chill vibes to your Monday morning with something new and exciting to listen to each week. You can also follow OPB on Instagram at OPBphoto, or follow me directly at Jen Chavez OPB. That's Jen with 2 N's, and I'll keep you posted on what Team Evergreen is up to. And remember, this episode about giant, magnificent ice sculptures and all the great OPB reporting and storytelling you hear on the show is made possible by the support of many thousands of OPB members. Melt our hearts and support our journalism by becoming an OPB sustaining member today at opb.org/pod. And one last thing before we get back into it, we are going to be doing a live taping of The Evergreen next week. It's coming up on Thursday, March 6th at the Tomorrow Theater in Southeast Portland. Come join us in the audience and see how our podcast gets made. Check out more details at opb.org/theevergreen. And now, back to the World Ice Art Championships in Fairbanks, Alaska. All right, so Noah, we're at Ice Alaska Winter 2023, which was when you were there, and the competition is set to begin. Who's on the team Chris Foltz has with him?
So the multi-block competition consists of 4-person teams. In addition to Chris, there's Dean Murray, who they call Oregon Dean.
Dean's hands are all over this thing.
He actually brought me up here my first time. When I came up here, it was an invite on his team.
And then there's Dean Damaris, who they call Texas Dean.
I ain't from around these parts.
Obviously from Texas.
I started back in '88, I think it was. Picked up my first chainsaw, did my first carving.
Both Deans are veteran ice sculptors.
If you like it, Dean did it. If you don't like it, Dean did it.
Yeah.
And then there was a student on the team named Nicholas Graham.
I love having that student influence, or that younger perspective. It's good energy,
Chris was the one who designed the piece they're building. It's called Wild Child. How did he get the idea for this? What is his artistic vision with this piece?
Chris was delivering an ice sculpture, actually.
For the Seattle Krakens, we were doing life-size hockey players out of ice.
So he was driving from Coos Bay to Seattle.
Which I'm always excited when I come out of Coos Bay because I can get a good radio station. So I'm flipping radio stations.
I think he was a little bit dazed from driving.
We slept for 2 hours, very little food. You're just you're a little bit loopy.
And Iggy Pop, Wild Child, came on the radio.
I'm a real wild one, wild one, wild one, wild one.
And he had a light bulb moment.
This giant baby with a mohawk came into my mind, and there it was.
And the rest is history.
Gonna break it loose, gonna keep it moving wild, gonna keep us swinging, baby, I'm a real wild child.
These are all the pieces that'll be added. We'll be building a Chihuahua. We're gonna have baby blocks. We've got a binky. We've got a couple safety pins, some tattoos, and then he'll be playing the toy guitar.
Speaks to just the artistic mind that Chris has. And I guess why these carvers love competitions like Ice Alaska, because it gives them the latitude to just play around.
I just love carving stuff that I've never seen before, or I think I'll never see again. It doesn't have to be anything except something you want to do for some weird reason.
Now, they built this sculpture over several days, working on it day and night. You and your team from Oregon Field Guide were there with them every day. What was watching their process like?
It was incredible. It's really hard to describe. You had to be there in person because just the magnitude, the size of the sculptures is something that I didn't expect. It's just like artistic mastery being displayed. They have these really wild ideas, and just to see those ideas slowly come to fruition over the course of a week, it's just really cool, and I tell everybody about it. Like, you have to experience it at least once.
So what makes ice sculptures dangerous?
A lot of the sculptures are built in a way that gives the illusion that it's all one piece.
You want it to look like it's almost impossible that you made it.
If you look at the sculptures closely, you can kind of see where they fuse the blocks together. And usually the danger element comes into play when the sculptures are built up and not out. There's actually a limit on how tall the sculptures can be at Ice Alaska because I guess they've had a few accidents. These are very heavy blocks of ice and it can be dangerous.
Danger element.
The precarity of these towering ice sculptures is no joke. Ice Alaska spectators witnessed an ice sculptor's worst fear when, in 2005, Japanese world champ Junichi Nakamura,
he's like the Michael Jordan of ice sculpting,
was putting the final touches on a massive sculpture, and it all came crashing down.
And it looks like it crushes him. You can hear the crowd just, oh my gosh, is he okay? And of course he was okay, but it's what you have to deal with. It is ice.
Foltz and his team put a lot of planning into making sure their sculptures stayed as stable as possible as they continued to add new pieces, like the baby's toy guitar.
Steady, steady.
But sometimes the ice has different plans.
All right. That's okay. We can build around it.
A lot of these elements, especially with Chris's baby, you can plan for days and weeks and try to get all the physics right. And you never really know how something's going to fit until you get it hooked up to a crane and get it up there. That's kind of what happened with this guitar is they lifted it up and realized that it wasn't going to fit exactly like they thought it would. And so I think they tried to force it a bit. And
Mother Nature wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
these guys are professionals, so they're used to this sort of thing. For us, it was like, holy crap.
Yeah, I would feel the same way.
We didn't know if the whole sculpture was going to collapse.
And there was another brush with danger while you were filming during the competition in Fairbanks, right?
Yeah, so I don't remember which day it was. I think it was towards the end in the early evening. We just heard this really loud crack. It just echoed throughout the forest, and everyone just put down what they were doing and turned to look and then just ran over to where the sound was.
Wow. Yeah.
A giant evergreen tree tipped over and fell behind one of the other sculptures.
Where'd the tree fall?
It was right there. It was arched over it.
Maybe 3 or 4 feet behind the sculpture, and luckily nobody was there, and all the guys on that team were just breathing a sigh of relief.
Over and over, Foltz talked about how ice breaks.
First rule I was ever taught about ice is that ice breaks, and I've always kept that in my mind.
Because ice breaks, and once you realize that and you're calm with it, you start planning things out appropriately. Ice breaks. I want you to lodge that into your mind. Once you have that, you'll know you can fix anything, but don't ever imagine ice is not going to break.
So it's kind of like his mantra, almost. I guess you kind of have to embrace chaos and impermanence.
I think you sort of have to take a Zen approach to ice sculpting because things will fall and things will break. And sometimes you have accidents, but what are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and cry, or are you going to keep moving? And it seems like that's the mentality they all have is, hey, we just got to keep moving. And the beauty of ice is it can always be put back together.
So the clock was ticking closer to the deadline. The team made a final push and finished their sculpture just under the wire.
That's it.
Horns blown, so that's it. And yeah, it was on to the judges and photographs, and that's the end of it.
The only thing left to do was to wait for the results. What was the mood like?
Relief. Yeah, I mean, when you're working 12-hour days, sometimes more, day and night, and you're getting 4 hours of sleep, and you're not really eating, and you're just on coffee and adrenaline, and that final buzzer sounds, and you can just feel the relief in the atmosphere. And like, everyone can finally step back and actually admire this creation they just worked on. It's like that was the pure moment. You know, there's the actual judging portion, but the moment when the buzzer sounds, like that's the moment, I think, where the magic really happens.
I love what you say about that being the magical moment, but this is a competition, so I am curious, did they win?
First place. Do I get a drum roll? Silas first. Captain.
They didn't win. They didn't place, actually, which is, for Chris, pretty rare. He did win the year prior. I think he had won 7 times before, but you don't always win.
It always hurts a little bit when you don't place. You always see your piece as the gem, you know what I mean?
They've all experienced winning and losing. They've been on both sides of victory multiple times.
When you're in a community like this of artists that are just at that level, sometimes you get on the stage, sometimes you don't.
But it really is more about, if you're an artist and if you're a purist, it's like a dream come true because you go there.
It is so far away. It costs a lot to get there.
You build these elaborate sculptures.
It is an immense amount of work.
But then in a few months, they're gonna disappear.
All of your work is gonna melt away.
So you really have to do it because you love it.
As a professional artist, it's the one place that I get to go and do whatever I want to do.
Thank you.
So I'm going back. You know, as many times as I can, I'll keep going back. That's it.
We have a good time.
That's awesome. Nice work, dude.
Noah got to witness the ice sculpting skills of Chris Foltz and his team from Oregon in winter 2023. But that's not the end of the story of their quest for icy glory. A few weeks ago, I called Chris up to see what he's been up to since then. He, fellow team members, and some of his culinary students returned to Fairbanks in February 2024 for their next shot, competing in the multi-block, 2-man, and collegiate divisions. The piece de resistance was a scene inspired by the 1981 cinematic epic Clash of the Titans.
Our piece was based around the story behind Medusa fighting Perseus, and we actually tried to capture the scene where he was hiding behind the pillar of marble, trying to peek around and look into the shield to be able to look at her.
It was truly huge, and Chris's part in it all was building a giant, badass scorpion.
So this like 12, 13-foot scorpion coming in off the right side of the piece.
Suspense was high as Mother Nature once again made her own plans.
The weather swayed pretty heavy that week and actually went up into the 50s, and that caused a lot of ice to melt, some stuff to fall apart. So it kind of threw our schedule. We had to shut down for a day.
The team had to wait for the temperature to drop, start up again in the middle of the night, and basically work for 24 hours straight before sliding into home plate just under the wire. And guess what? Fate smiled upon our hometown heroes.
I was on a winning team for the multi-block and third place for the 2-man. And the collegiate team that I trained went up and we brought home gold and silver. Yeah, it was a great experience, and hoping to have a similar one this year.
That's right. Ice Alaska 2025 is underway as we speak. It's the first year that Chris is also a board member for the annual competition, and the gang is back in Fairbanks, culinary students included.
I got a couple that are like just really into it. I mean, even though they're collegiate and they're starting out, I mean, they're really pushing into that pro division already.
Meanwhile, Chris has a special partner for the two-man division this year.
My son Porter is going to be coming up and be working with me. He wanted to do a scene of bugs fighting, so we're doing, I think, a praying mantis fighting a spider.
Will this year's multi-block masterpiece also feature an epic insect? Only time will tell.
We're doing a pretty cool scene like based on the song Welcome to the Jungle. So that's probably about as far as I should say.
We respect the game, and Guns N' Roses is a hell of a clue. But lest you thought we'd leave you with a cliffhanger, this year's multi-block competition unfolded mere days ago. And I asked Chris to get back in touch and let us know how it went. And they clinched third place.
This is Chris Foltz. Multi-block is over, went awesome. Results are in. We got third place. Really excited. We were doing a rock and roll scene, Guns N' Roses, playing their famous song, Welcome to the Jungle. I remember listening to this song when I was a kid, playing Nintendo when it first came out. It's super cool to be able to recreate it in ice. We had a stage down there with subwoofers behind the drummer, which was really awesome. And then I got to carve the drummer himself after I got done with the leopard, which was awesome. The leopard was a fantastic piece I got to do out of 3 full blocks. And it's pretty exhausting running for 6 days with at least 16, 18-hour days. But feeling really good, you know, just hopefully getting a little bit of sleep before the two-man starts.
Big congrats to Chris and his teammates Burr Rasmussen, David Smith, and team captain Steve Bryce on their amazing sculpture. Seriously, y'all, it is so awesome. I'll post pictures of the finished piece on my Instagram at Jen Chavez OPB. Go check it out. You can see Noah Thomas's Oregon Field Guide documentary about Oregon's very own champion ice sculptors at opb.org/OFG. Thank you for listening to The Evergreen, a podcast from OPB. I produced this episode, and our technical director is Stephen Cray. Nalene Silva engineered the episode. The OPB podcast team also includes Mia Estrada, Julie Sabatier, and Sage Van Wing. Noah Thomas, Brandon Swanson, Dave Sell, Jeff Kastner, and Dave Miller did the interviews you heard. You heard these ice sculpture-inspiring rock songs: Real Wild Child, Wild One from Iggy Pop, and Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. Other music in this episode is from Audio Network. If you have a question for us, please reach out. Hit us up by email at theevergreen@opb.org. I'm Jen Chavez. Stay cool. I'll catch you later.
Nice to see you.
McBee!